I want to explain a model that we use when we teach our students about how to use themselves to make change through their knowledge, through their academic knowledge. So we call it managing change in an unpredictable world. I have worked for some years with entrepreneurship education, but if I use the word entrepreneurship, students tend to think about starting a business. Now, the students I work with work in the humanities, and they're passionate about very different things, human endeavours, about welfare, about health, about environmental problems, social issues, all sorts of issues that are important for them that come out through their academic knowledge. So working with these students, I don't want to talk about the first thing that they think about, which when they hear the word entrepreneurship is economic value. So I start to use words like making change and becoming change makers. And when I talk using those terms, then the students want to work with their academic abilities and their professional selves to make change in the world. So for me, this model has developed through some work I've done through looking at Sarasvati's effectuation and way of working. So using her effectuation model as an inspiration, we have worked together to develop this model over the last 2 years. And I'm going to explain very briefly about the 5 steps in this model. The students are always asked to start with me, who they are, what that means. And me is about my discipline. It's about my expertise. It's about my experiences. And it's about the people I know. It's about my networks. So we ask students to look at who they are, what they can do, and what they're interested in. And bringing their experiences into classroom is not normally something that we ask our students to do. We normally think that we can put something into their heads and that's what they work with. But we want them to combine who they are with what they're learning in the classroom as well, whether it's history or archaeology or whatever it is. So by doing that and combining who they are as people and their academic expertise, plus their networks, that's something that students have not normally been asked to work with, and that's something that they really enjoy working with. It's not the end of the product, but one of the products that come out of that is that they really are able to talk about their competences in a different way afterwards. They're able to articulate who they are and what they can do, and they're also able to write very good CVs. But to get students to work together, we want to put them into teams. And joining into teams is about finding out that you have maybe your different interests, you have different disciplines, that you have a different expertise, but what you join together about is something that you're passionate about together. So you might have a joint passion or a joint interest in something, and that's what makes you join into a team. So we're looking at teams that are interdisciplinary, that have a range of diversity in that they might come from different backgrounds, and of course they'll have a range of experiences that they bring together, and of course suddenly they have a range of networks. So that's all important in building up the teams. In fact, the more interdisciplinary your team is, the more diverse your team is, the better the team will work together and the better products that come out of it. So once we've got teams organised around particular interests or particular issues that they want to work on together, then we ask the teams to go out and go into a phase that we call discovery. Now this is really easy to do at university because it's about doing research work. It's about looking at things, exploring. It's about finding out really what the field or the arena that they're working in is about. So we ask the students to go into a discovery phase where they explore, where they investigate, and where they gather data together. When they do this, this is not without connections to other people. So suddenly they're going to be bringing in stakeholders. They're going to be bringing in outsiders. And hopefully those outsiders will be able to commit to the project. When the students start working outside of the university with real people, with real issues, with real everyday problems, it's really important to bring those people into their projects and to actually say these are important in working towards something that's going to make a change. So students have suddenly discovered that they're not just a team anymore, but they're also the connections that they have outside. When they have explored and investigated the particular area and maybe the issue that they're wanting to work with, then they start to think about, what does this issue now look like? How do they understand it? And not only how do they understand it, but how do the people who are in this situation understand it? That means that they're much better able to talk about what this issue is now, what it looks like as a problem, and then able to go into the next phase, which is called the experimentation phase. Normally in an entrepreneurial process, you would go into an idea phase or an ideation phase very early on in a process. But I like to keep it to much later in the process, because it's really, really important for the students to know who they are, who they're working with, and what the problem really is before they start looking at what ideas can they get and what can they experiment with. So here we're looking at potential. We're looking for opportunities. We're looking at what there is out there that's new, ways of creating value. How can they create value that wasn't in this issue before, where there was no value because the issue was a problem? So by thinking about how they can create value alongside their stakeholders, with the outsiders, with the people who were outside the project to begin with, makes much more sense at this stage. This is about maybe cross-appropriation, reconfiguration. It's about looking at what kinds of practices work in other places, and can we bring them in to this situation? Can we adjust them, reconfigure them so that they work for this? Once they have looked at different ways of bringing potential and different opportunities in, then they'll have to start making a product. They'll have to prototype the product, and again, that's done alongside their stakeholders, with the users, always getting feedback from them and listening to what they say about the product. When they have something that is viable, then they have to go into what the last phase in this process is, what I call the consolidation phase. This is where they start saying, okay, so now we've done some tests, we've done some prototyping. What does this tell us? This means that we have to adjust, we have to adapt, we have to make some changes for the product to work. And when the product is a working product, whether it's an app, a website, or a real physical product, then we can say this product is ready to test in a much bigger market than just, or a much bigger area than just with the people that we've had throughout the project. That means that our students have something that maybe is a potential to make change in an unpredictable world. It also means that they have really good experience of working in this change-making process. It means that when they look at their product, they can go back to say, who am I now? What does that mean? How has this changed me? Well, how has this changed my understanding of who I am and what I can do in the world? Does this mean that I now want to go into the same issues and work with the same team, or different issues, a new team, or am I keeping the team? So it's about moving in this circle of pedagogical, in a pedagogical way throughout a process that makes the students think about who they are and how they can use themselves, combine their academic knowledge with real life issues in the outside world.